Hi, my name is Rudy. Today I'm going to explain about how do you measure the KPI of your 3PL. Maybe you are wonder because why I choose this title of measuring the KPI of your 3PL, because if I talk about port, somebody said that this is not related to the supply chain management. Okay, then I try to look for something that near to your supply chain processing, which is your 3PL, and then I try to explain the how do you measure the KPI of your 3PL, which this kind of topic will have a great impact of your KPI supply chain. It doesn't signify that you are an expert in supply chains management and then you can measure the KPI of your 3PL. For your consideration, the KPI of your 3PL can have a large impact on your supply chain KPI. Well, you can suggest to many people in generic terms about 3PL, and the 3PL must have a lot of experience and has a roadmap to support your KPI supply chain. But that is not like that. I mean, how is the experience of the 3PL? How do you measure? In reality, many industries suffer because of various additional costs that need to be paid, and not to mention various delays in receiving goods that impact your supply chain KPI. And surprisingly, you don't know how to complain. Your 3PL makes a lot of excuses, lies, and say that these are because of the customs officer or port officer or port operator technical loading and discharge equipment's problems, and so on. I saw a YouTube that said the secret of supply chains, but on the other way around, they talk about the tips for choosing 3PL. It's amazing, you know, because on the other way around they say this is a secret, but on the other way around they explain how to choose the 3PL partnership. You know, they give a lot of tips, the criteria of the 3PL company. Yes, indeed, it becomes a secret because you don't know who is doing what in the chain or port logistic activities from end to end. The reality, the supply chain is not a secret. Okay, I will prepare an upcoming episode on this channel talking about the transparency of supply chain that can alert all parties involved and final positioning them in a healthy competition to carry out the so-called the quality of logistic activities. That episode will be accompanied with various trials in different countries, and the implementation is successful, and then they utilize it as a tools for most industry on their country. I can say this because I used to be a port consultant in an international corporation with 18,000 representatives worldwide and 38,000 experts. My point, it is not as a generic approach that the 3PL must meet or adapt to your solution industry. Why? You need to understand I call it the 3P terminology in the port supply chains. I should terminology those kind of fact and finding because it will be easy for me to explain about that, because I try to terminology the fact and finding, and I call it the 3P terminology in the port supply chain. My point is you can't measure your 3PL KPIs unless you know who is doing what in the port supply chain from end to end. If you look at this diagram, your positioning in this diagram as the owner of the goods. I define this as a original cargo owner. Maybe in your mindset that the 3PL is only one organization body that will cater your logistic formalities. No. I mean, again, you can't measure their operating performance, the 3PL, if you don't know who is doing what in the port supply chain. Yeah, because maybe in your mindset you think that as a original cargo owner, the 3PL is only one organization body that cater your logistic formalities. About outsourcing, you outsource your logistic formalities to the 3PL, but on the other way around, you don't know they outsource what you have outsourced to them, and the outsourcing become even more complex when they outsource the entire or just a part of your logistic formalities. You understand what I mean? Or maybe something else happens. You only make them as a bankers of all your logistic costs, because you will pay back afterwards at your will, at your cash flow situation. And that is another story. In the port supply chain, there are three main pyramids, 1, 2, 3, as it's shown in this diagram. And then if they outsource, it becomes more complex, because when the time you make a contract with them, they always make a campaign. They have a lot. They have a vessel, they have a warehouse, they have several trucks operation that could strong enough to support your industry solution. Okay, but behind the scene, actually they outsource one of the part, because of what? Because of certain peak condition, you know, they need to utilize others facilities in order to accelerate your good shipments, the cycle of your good shipment. I was confused when I saw in the YouTube on one YouTube channel, they say the secret of supply chain, but on the other hand, they gave various tips on how to choose the 3PL, and I saw that it's very clear that you think that a 3PL is just one company, one organized body. It is not like that. There are many parties involved in the port logistic chain, and there are 72 processes from end to end. And in my case, in Indonesian port and custom environment, the process of importation and exportation, the custom role only 3.6%. I will talk later in my upcoming episode video streaming about this, okay? And hopefully it will be useful for you to understand when your good shipment is the destination port is in Indonesia. So in this diagram you will see that the custom role only 3.6% in the whole 32 processes from end to end in the port supply chain. It is because my country is an archipelago port and none in the world like that. We have around 2,000 seaports from the east to west, and the complexity of the port formalities, logistic administration formalities is totally different with your country. Okay, let's move on. The first pyramid in the port regulator, which consists of number 1 is port authority, number 2 is harbor master, customs, quarantine, port health, and immigration. These I categorize as a group of pyramid port regulator who regulate the policies and the regulation in our port, Indonesian port, you know. And the second pyramid, I call it port operator, which is comprised of state-owned enterprise port and the private port, you know, and the other one is, the rest of this is around 1,845 ports. It's managed by the Ministry of Transportation itself. That is the second pyramid. The third pyramid is, I call it the port community, which is comprised of shipping lines, shipping agents, ship cargo expedition, stevedore company, which is, we have a lot of domestic with our certain port in Java become a central of domestic to ocean going. So from the domestic port conventional, a lot of stevedore company, you know, but on the main port, the stevedore company is the port operator itself, because they are provided with a lot of equipments, container crane, and so on and so forth. And the second, after the stevedore company, which comprise from the port community, is freight forwarder, and then custom broker, the truck company, the exporter and importer, and the last of this port community, maybe is your manufacturer. I categorize those as you own the goods shipment, you are the original cargo owner. Okay, and that's why the 3PL organization is not just one body. They have a lot of parties related or involved in the chain of port logistics, And when your 3PL charge you in, let's say, one shipment cycle, then you will leave a lot of several notice and asking why so many fluctuation charges are different from the previous shipment, are different from the previous invoices, even though the commodity is the same. And not only that, but there are various delays in the goods receiving that have a great impact on your KPI. You see, in this case, the cost has varied, and the date of good receiving also varies. Because and the worst, you also don't know how to make a complaint, because you just leave several footnotes in the invoice papers and wonder why you become an object to being charged with these various additional costs. I tell you what afterwards. They will tear off your footnotes in a strategic answer and lie and lay and point the blame at the customs officer and or port officer and port operator as well. And then from that kind of situation, you don't have any chance to make a complaint, and then you will be an object to be charged from all those various costs. I once held a focus group discussion and collected some of the original cargo owners, port officer, custom officers, and also port operators. This project was conducted from Maritime Anti-Corruption Network, where the complaints are outrageous. And I found 19 cases across all 72 processes in the port logistic chain. And the most important thing is that it's not a matter of having finished the complaint and then you are free from various additional costs. But your KPI is getting worse as time goes by. Again, I would say that your 3PL company is not one organization body in the realm of port supply chain. It comprises of shipping lines and shipping agent, and ship cargo expedition, stevedore company, freight forwarder, custom broker, the truck company, exporter and exporter, and you as a original cargo owner who own the entire shipment from origin port to your destination port. And today, most of this coordination among these are using the WhatsApp group. They don't have any kind of tools, and according to my self-study and research, is around almost 80%, 10%, that the coordination is very poor, because they just only using a WhatsApp group. If one party is late or lingers and then it will have an impact. It will have a domino effect on the other party. They will a domino effect, you know. And lastly, you will be charged various fees. And not only that, you experience delays in receiving goods in your warehouse, which has a great impact on your KPI. And therefore, again, you become an object to be in charge with those various additional costs. Well, I see a lot of YouTube, you know, talking about supply chain, you know, and when I try to explain about the port, they will whisper each other. Okay, this guy is talking about something is not related to supply chain. Well, okay, I choose another things that could be near to your supply chain's processing, which is 3PL. You can give a lot of tips to your audience supply chains in your YouTube channel, but all your tips require a deeper elaboration and explanation. So in my country, there is a lot of electronic portal, you know, like this, and it's different in other country, you know, because they have one organized body which is established by the port regulator and led by port authority to manage all the coordination. I mean, the poor coordination below here, you know, in order to accelerate the good of your shipment, of your goods shipment. But in my country, there is no one single national body that manages this. Everybody is established their own what I call electronic portal, you know, and this port community, every part has his own portion in order to request permission or request service of their vessel and the goods when the vessel is arrived in our destination port, let's say in Tanjung Priok and so on and so forth. And after that, all the response from this is done by electronic, but all the response, the PDF electronic is coordinated by WhatsApp group. There is no tools among them to coordinate, you know, in a manner of to accelerate the process of, as I said, 72 processes in the port logistic chain from end to end. Okay, so remember, I have explained in my previous slide that your position only as a original cargo owner, and your 3PL is not one organization body that you can rely on your KPI against them. It's very worse, you know. You need to understand how to measure their operation. This video series will provide various solutions on how you can avoid various additional costs and various delays in the receiving goods. I have written one book on Amazon.com. If you interested, you can buy that. By reading that book, you can mitigate your logistic costs in order to have a great impact on your KPI and also for your end user price of your commodity when trying to compete to others commodity in the domestic market or in the international market. So the number one is you need to understand, as I said, the 3P terminology in the port supply chain. By understanding this, you will know how to complain. You will know that this cost cannot be charged to you anymore. You will get a clear picture who lingers on the port logistic activities in your goods delivery cycles. And if they continue to fail, you can stop, terminate the contracts of your shipment, and look for other 3PL, but with the know-how checklist obtained from this 3P terminology above. You know how to make an interview to your 3PL and so on and so forth. But not only like that, when the time of planning and operation of your goods shipment, you know exactly who are the parties are not involved, and then your complaint footnote will be clear enough, strong enough, in order to make you free, but also to make your KPI, supply chain KPI, become great as times goes by. So I will end up with my initial explanation, and hopefully it will be useful for those who are in the supply chain world. So you see, this kind of 3P terminology and checklist will improve your supply chain KPI. I can assist you in this series of video explanation, my next episode. And thank you for your watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. I will give you another episode that will explain more detail about this. Again, thank you for watching.